Hello and welcome to another trip report from a very tiny railway station, Cadenazzo, here in Switzerland, on the Treno Gottardo. This is a relatively new train route. No, not a new train route, it's the old route, but new trains that run along the old Gotthard pass. Since a couple of years there's a new Gotthard tunnel. This is a high-speed tunnel where trains can go around 200 kilometers per hour. And it's in a straight line, so even if these trains don't go that fast, it's way faster because it's in a straight line. We will go into the mountains and go through the old Gotthard tunnel, which is I think 16 kilometers long. Anyway, I will tell you more about this with the use of a voiceover. These trains do start in Locarno, what is about 15 minutes away from here, and what is absolutely worth visiting. It's really beautiful, located at Lago Maggiore. But since we came from a local train from Milan and we wanted to see something of Lucerne as well, where we're going to, we changed trains here in Cadenazzo. These trains run every hour, and every 2 hours there's one direct train to Zürich, and the other hour it's a train to Basel. We will end up in Lucerne, and well, what is very beautiful. From there on we'll take the Golden Pass train tomorrow. But because this train terminates in Zürich, we need to change again in Arth-Goldau to follow this route. Anyway, I will tell you more about this with the use of a voiceover. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more train related videos, subscribe to my channel. For now, let's roll the intro. We arrived at this tiny railway station with this train, what is a local train that runs between Milan and Locarno. Of course, I would love to show you the railway station of Locarno, but since we didn't want to spend some time over there and we have to wait for 1 hour if we do that, we decided to change trains here, at the small railway station of Cadenazzo. It's not an important railway junction, but I will show you the railway station as good as I can. There are no escalators or elevators, but you will find a ramp and stairs between the platforms and the front of the railway station. This is pretty often in Swiss railway stations. There's an information screen with information about departing trains, a bus stop at the front of the railway station, a bar, and there's also this shop. I think it's a flower and plant shop in the railway station. This is pretty cool. Even though there are 2 platforms and 3 tracks along these platforms, it felt like track number 1 was not being used for trains. At the front there's also a parking spot for bikes, by the way. This railway station is only being served by local and inter-regional trains, and therefore you also find this map of local transportation. And here is our inter-regional train coming in, the Treno Gottardo. Before I will show you the train, let's take a closer look at the railway map of Switzerland, and let's zoom in a bit to the Gothard section. As you can see over here, there's a dotted line, and this is the Gotthard tunnel, the new one. This train will go along the old Gotthard pass, what is more scenic but also takes more time. As you can see, there are some curves where the train will gain height on a really short section of the route, and I really like this. The new tunnel has been opened in 2016, so the travel time between Switzerland and Germany and Italy has been reduced a lot since this line has been constructed. However, there are still lots of smaller towns along the old line that also need to be served by trains. And that's exactly the purpose for this train. Let's take a look at the greater map of Swiss transportation. These trains run every hour on the section Locarno to Arth-Goldau. From there on, these trains do have different directions. It depends, it's Basel or Zürich. 1 hour it's Basel, the other hour it's Zürich, and vice versa. So these trains run directly every hour between Arth-Goldau and Locarno, every 2 hours between Locarno and Basel and the other way, and also every 2 hours between Zürich and Locarno. Our final destination today was Lucerne, and therefore the train to Basel would have been a direct train for us. However, we took the train that went to Zürich, so we also had to change in Arth-Goldau. This is all very simple and I will show you this briefly in the video. The route is exactly the same. For now, let's take a closer look within these trains. And I'll start off with the second class. The second class comes in a 2x2 configuration, so 2 seats on both sides of the aisle. Most seats do come, and this is typical for Switzerland, in a configuration that they are facing each other. At 2 spots within these trains you will find a so-called bistro. Over here you find some garbage cans you can use to recycle, and there's this kind of place where you can stand. At the other side you will find 2 vending machines, one for hot drinks and one for cold drinks and snacks. You can pay with cash but also card. For this entire trip within Switzerland, I did not use cash at all. You can easily pay with cards in Switzerland. And the best thing, you'll find Rivella pretty much everywhere, one of my favorite soft drinks. These trains are relatively new and I really like the interior design within these trains. At the sides of the seats you will find seat numbers. Within these trains the seat numbers are based on the entire train, so it's not per carriage. We did not reserve a seat and there was a lot of space for us. At the end of most compartments you will find screens that will host route information, but also near the entrance and exit doors. And at the very front or very back of the train, depending what way you move, you will find this so-called children area. Over here you find some more space where you can park buggies, and the design is just a little bit more playful over here. I think it's also nice for if you're traveling with children, they can meet other children and just play a little bit with each other. Like I mentioned, at the side you will find the seat numbers, and just below the luggage rack you will find a small screen that will host information about reservations. Although I did not think there were a lot of people who reserved a seat within this train. At the end of each compartment you will find screens that will host route information, like I mentioned before. For a lot of railway companies within Switzerland there's also a magazine available, and that was also the case over here. This is an interregional train, what is a little bit below an intercity, so the service is a little bit less as in an intercity because there's no dining car, but it's still very good, and this train goes from one end of the country to the other one. Near the spots where you can park bikes, there are also some places where you can park skis. Well, it's still Switzerland after all. And near all entrance doors you will find these screens that will also host route information, but also the carriage number. Seat information has been written on these spots over here, so you know what seat numbers can be found at that section. Throughout the train there are lots of luggage racks, but because all seats do face each other, between the back end of some seats you can also store luggage, and otherwise you can store some luggage near the spots where you can park bikes and skis. At the side there's a small table, and within this table you will find one power plug on both sides. Within these tables you also find a garbage can. At all windows there's sunscreen, and a small coat hanger can be found next to the windows. Even though I'm not a huge fan of seats that do face each other, the comfort level of these trains is really good. Well, I think you know how the second class looks like. For now, let's take a closer look at the first class within these trains. And the first class, it's a really good product. You can recline the seats over here with this handle. It doesn't make a big difference, but it's, well, a little bit more relaxed if you recline these seats. Between the seats you will find one power plug per seat and a cup holder, but if you want more power plugs within the garbage cans, just like in the second class, you also find a power plug. By the way, there's also this stop button. As far as I know there are no stops on request, but maybe this is different or they're just future-proof design. If you know this, just let me know in the comments. Well, just like in second class, you'll find a sunscreen, and there are reading lights within the luggage racks. In first class I found some really small luggage racks, but thank goodness they also had one bigger, and of course, just like what I mentioned in the second class, between the back end of some seats you can also store some luggage. The service level in first class is exactly the same as in the second class. You can expect everything what you can expect in the second class. The seat numbers can be found at the side. Seat reservation displays can be found near the luggage racks, lots of screens with information about the route, but you just have more space, the seats are more comfortable, you just name the regular stuff. There are lots of details that make this train feel in general very elegant, and especially in the first class. For example, these coat hangers over here, I really like them. What makes this train feel really elegant to me and really nice is that the interior design, well, it's really modern, but it's also referring to the old Alp ways of how things were being made, with lots of wood that has been used. I just really love this. Within the first class there are no seats that do have a bigger table in between, and within some spots within the second class you will find these seats as well. As you can see, if I walk a little bit more towards the front of the train, you will find some seats where you find bigger tables between the seats. This is ideal for if you want to play a game with some friends or so. You also find this at the special children compartment. Within these trains you will find two spots where you find the so-called bistro, so this is basically where you find the two vending machines. I really like it that they have this, because most interregional trains within Switzerland don't have this. One downside though, at our trip the toilets were not working. From the moment our train arrived at Arth-Goldau, it was combined with another train, so between Arth-Goldau and Zürich the toilets were working again, but for our trip we just had no toilets within these trains. However, I spotted one of these trains in Lucerne again, and over there I just went in to have a quick look within these trains to see how the toilets are like. And here we go. These are the regular toilets, well, and they just look fine. You can also turn them into a nursery space for babies, as you can see over here. They're not big, but they're pretty nice and clean, and everything worked. At least within this train, not in our train. There's also one toilet for people with mobility problems. You can also turn this into a nursery space for babies, and you just have some more space over here. Well, I guess that's about it for the interior of these trains. For now, I will show you some views from the train. After all, we took this train because of the nice views on this route. The views will be from Cadenazzo, 15 minutes away from Locarno, until Lucerne. We changed trains in Arth-Goldau to an intercity. However, these trains also run on this route, like I mentioned at the beginning. We changed trains in Arth-Goldau, and from here on it's just a cross-platform change. We continued our route towards Lucerne, but like I mentioned earlier on in this video where I explained you more about the routes, there are also trains that will go directly to Lucerne and Basel. But that's every other hour, and we took the train exactly in the hour that there are no direct trains on this route. This is our next train coming in, a domestic Swiss intercity. I did some more trip reports on Swiss intercities, but not on these train types. For the last section, I show you some views between Arth-Goldau and Lucerne.
Geschätzte Fahrgäste, Sie treffen Luzern auf Gleis 7-1. Die Ausstiegsseite befindet sich in Fahrrichtung links.
Before I end up this video, if you're interested in other trip reports, of course you can find them on my channel and you can subscribe so you won't miss anything. But you can also find them in the description of this video. You'll find a link to a map, and on this map you find all trip reports I did. The lines do indicate the routes, and the train and ferry icons do indicate the railway station and ferry terminal reviews. So that's it for this video. We're walking to the place where we're sleeping right now. It was actually quite a beautiful ride. Were some issues with the toilet though. Anyway, I hope you like this video. If you do so, give me a thumbs up on YouTube, and if you'd like to see more train related videos, subscribe to my channel. If you want to see the railway station of Lucerne, check out the video I will make on the first section of the Golden Pass that is from here to Interlaken. I will do the entire Golden Pass by the way, but more of that in other videos. For now, goodbye and see you on my next video.